So I'm not sure why, but I was guided to talk about positivity, and I have a history with positivity and trying to be positive. And so I thought I'd share this with you. So I forced myself to be positive for a long part of my life. And I forced positivity because I wanted to be seen as a positive person. And if you watched any of my other videos, you'll know that I have a history with like quote unquote negative emotions, even though there's no such thing. It's just lower, quote unquote, lower emotions. And I felt like I needed to compensate, like for feeling any anger or sadness. And I thought being a positive person made me a better person, made me more lovable and acceptable. So my self-worth was tied into being positive. But the more I faked positivity, when it wasn't natural, the more I felt disconnected from myself and disconnected from my soul. It was like having the opposite effect inside. I was like more frustrated, more like resentful. And along with that, the sense of like, I'm not being authentic right now, that made me feel worse than feel good, which I thought I was going to feel by forcing positivity. But forcing never leads to anything good. So, there were people around me that were telling me, oh yeah, like, be positive, be positive. And I took that in and internalized it and thought that that's what I'm supposed to do. That's how I'm supposed to live. I'm supposed to be positive even if I'm feeling down, or like if I'm not able to be positive in that moment. And there came a time where like I was questioning this positivity and like it's like, why do I need to be positive? And who am I being positive for? In a sense, it's me, because I thought that I would be loved and accepted if I did what people told me to do. And I thought they would love me and I'd be a better person. But also, like, for me, it was also coming from a place of like, I wanted to make other people feel better and not feel my like negative energy when I was feeling down or upset or whatever it was. And that pissed me off, that I was trying to be positive and trying to be someone that I wasn't, trying to force this way of being for other people. That pissed me off at one point. And that began the process of healing. I was like, I don't need to be positive if I'm not feeling that. I can be down as long as I want to, or as long as I am. I can be upset. I can not be optimistic if I'm not feeling optimistic. Like, I don't need to force anything. Like, I naturally consider myself an optimist, but there are times when I lose touch with that. There are times when I feel not optimistic, pessimistic, when I feel like things aren't going the way I want them to, or the way they should, or sometimes I'm frustrated, or down, feeling down. And I would try to change that to be a person I thought I needed to be. Like, in order for me to be an optimist, then I needed to always be optimistic. In order to be a happy person, I thought I always needed to be happy, and things like this, to fit into my own expectations of who I thought I needed to be. But that's so not natural. And it just led to more resentment and unfulfillment and disconnection. And so at one point, I just started letting myself feel pessimistic as long as I wanted to. Like, feel down, feel frustrated, as long as I needed to feel that. And what I learned was, like, there's a point where things flip. Like, emotions and feelings, they flip. And thoughts too. Like, I'll feel as, for instance, down as I want to, as I'm going, and then at one point there's a switch, and I poof, flip. I always come back to my baseline. So I don't need to force myself to feel positive or to be positive anymore and be a toxic person, be a toxic version of myself, and like seek love from the outside for being positive, but also conditionally love myself, the version of myself that's positive. Like, it doesn't matter if I'm quote unquote negative or quote unquote positive anymore. Like, I love all versions of me, you know? So, and accept all versions of me. And, you know, you don't need to force positivity. You don't need to force yourself to be any way. I mean, Japan is a country with a high rate of like depression, and people still telling other people like, be positive, be optimistic. Does that work? Hell no, it doesn't. Like, I just felt more, I told you guys, you know, I felt more shitty when I was telling myself, pushing myself, basically reinforcing that I am not okay the way I am by pushing myself to be positive. So what I found through unconditional love and acceptance for any state that I'm experiencing, any state that I'm in, is just to allow it. Maybe it's going like quote unquote negative, like, or lower emotions are going on for longer. Maybe you feel frustrated for a long time, but it's just doing what it needs to. And there comes a point when there'll be a switch. And I think the more you fixate on needing to fix that state that you're in, the longer it takes for you to get back to your baseline and to have that flip. And I'm not talking about like clinical depression and things like that here, you know, but just in your day-to-day when you experience moments of like frustration or pessimism and things like this, that's more of what I'm talking about. And also, this is a great time for me to see where I was gaining a sense of self-value and self-worth from. I was gaining a sense of self-worth and value from being positive. And being negative, for me at that time, for a long part of my life, meant that I'm not valuable, I'm not worthy, I'm unlovable, I'm not acceptable. But seeing these definitions and value system that I had for myself allowed me to change that and be in a different way where I'm accepting of myself no matter what. And my value doesn't change, whether I'm optimistic, whether I'm pessimistic, whether I'm quote unquote positive, whether I'm quote unquote negative. And also too, life is so much more joyful when I'm not preoccupied about being positive or if I'm being negative. So much easier. So I hope there is something in this video for you in your healing journey, growth journey, empowerment journey, and reconnection back to yourself. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. Bye.